Vandy in Kentucky. Kentucky's a 13.5-point favorite. The over-under I have for this one, Will.
Top 10 wins among them.
Of course.
The Giant Killers face off.
How crazy is that, man? Like how the fact that both of these programs won those games that two most surprising results, I think, of the SEC preseason so far. No doubt about it. The over-under.
JJ Weaver versus Diego Puppy.
I love it. I love it. Future guest of the show, JJ Weaver. That's going to be coming up very soon. But yeah, the over-under is 5 turnt moments for Vandy.
Come on.
To be fair,
some fun with this one.
I don't think I can accurately describe a turnt moment. I don't think I'm built for that. Diego Pavia could do it much better than I could. He could break that down, give you all the different ways something can be turnt. I'm pretty sure last week he had at least a dozen turnt moments. I can't believe how much I'm saying turnt. But I wasn't tracking that closely enough personally, so I'll just take his word for it. You know, it's a question that actually needs to be asked. Well, how does Vandy handle success? How does Vanderbilt handle success? I don't know that I've ever said that on these airwaves. Maybe I said it after Virginia Tech. I have not said it very often, okay? I have not. How does Vandy handle being the national darling? When you beat Virginia Tech, the most diehard college football fans appreciated that because that was a Tech team that had kind of some sneaky playoff buzz. We're like, hey, all that experience they got back, like they could win the ACC. Like, I love Kyron Drones. Like, this is a fun team, and who knows? College football fans kind of like knew that. But like when Vandy beat Florida in Kentucky a couple years ago, it was seen as a nice late season moment for Vandy, as well as for the people that follow this sport nationally. More so like, what in the world is wrong with these 2 first-round quarterback prospects, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, losing to Vandy? What's going on? But beating Bama, dare I say, is attention that Vandy could never, ever, ever, ever dream of receiving. When Pavia and his fellow New Mexico State to Vandy crew beat Auburn last year, he had to turn around. He had to beat Rich Rod's 9-win Jacksonville State squad just to be able to earn a spot in the Conference USA Championship game. And They found a way to do that. So that's good. If you're like, hey, this Diego Pavia guy, he runs a little bit hot. All right. He's kind of already shown you that he can handle that. Yep. Probably didn't quite get as much attention for beating Auburn as he did for beating Alabama. Auburn fans, you know it's true. I do think right now
that was pretty funny at the time too, though. To be honest,
oh yeah,
he could be responsible for the 2 funniest wins in the SEC. Now that I think about that, because I was on vacation for that, and I remember being like, "Oh,
yeah, that was a wait. That's a typo. Like, there's no way that Sport Tracker has
smoke them.
They're up 21. What are you talking about? So funny. Yeah. Oh gosh. I do think that right now I have more faith in the Kentucky defensive front than I do the Alabama defensive front. How about that?
That group, myself again, bro. Come on.
That group, I thought, played really well against Ole Miss. Big reason why they won that game, of course. And honestly, played awesome against Georgia. Played better than what the final score indicated against South Carolina. I've talked about that before. I think the Kentucky defensive front is really, really good. And they're going to be a difficult matchup each and every week in the SEC. It's because of that matchup and the discipline that Mark Stoops' unit will have that I'm going against my better judgment. I'm gonna pick Kentucky. You know what? No, screw it. Diego does it again. Vandy wins 24-21. Doors all day.
Okay, first off, I know we're very close with Kentucky. I'm gonna give you guys some advice for Kroger Field. Go to your tickets sold or your tickets given away. Sort by P. Do not let more than 5 or 6 people name Pavia in this game. As far as we know, Diego was gathering the energy of his family members like a spirit bomb in Dragon Ball Z. Do not let too many Pavias in this game. There were so many Pavias in that shot. You gotta limit that. We already got too many.
They're so famous. They're so famous at this point. They're going in with an alias, like a famous person checking into the hotel. They're already
sunglasses
doing
on, still cowboy hats. They got like tape over the jersey. Yeah, like I mean, we already have the entire coaching staff from New Mexico.
New Mexico State. Different.
State. No. I'm talking about like they're just from there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It is family. So point being, like we got to make sure that's the thing, right? Like you can't let them feel themselves the way they did against Alabama. That was a joke, but it is a serious point where it comes to we knew early in that game. And there was honestly, the only time that I doubted it was that quick Alabama touchdown coming out of halftime. I was like, it's good. Like, they could start to come back because it was cut to I think within a field goal at that point. It was like 23-21. And like, that was like the point where it felt like Alabama could come back. But outside of that, like, you pretty much knew from the jump that Vandy came to play, like with the 2 quick scores and everything. Mark Stoops, please don't puke in your shoes in this game, man. Like this could be also a candidate for that, where it's like, oh wow, Vandy's, are they ranked now?
If they win this game, they are ranked, no doubt. They'd be 4-2. They would have wins against Virginia Tech, Bama, and Kentucky. Yeah, they'd be ranked.
And so, like, point being, like, I really would like a complete game out of both teams. I think that both teams play, as weird as this sounds, I think that both teams like kind of play their game. Kentucky does tend to come like to be ahead, but that's the thing. Who am I going to trust in this moment? To your point, like Vandegrift, the Kentucky defense is solid. Is Maxwell Hurston healthy yet?
That's a good question. We're doing this before injury reports come out. They were coming off of the bye week. He was not healthy for that Ole Miss game. Was not playing in that one. So I don't want to speculate on that. But the secondary looked really good. They had a true freshman that stepped in and played really well in that game. So I don't even know, like, as great as Harrison is, I don't know that that's necessarily a deal breaker for that matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, yeah, like the things that they do, well, they lost their top 2 receivers last year at Vandy. It just straight up didn't matter. So it's not like they have one guy that you got to shut down the way that other teams do. So yeah, I do think that, like, the thing about Pavia, I fully get your point about you could have that like literal and metaphorical hangover where it's like, I've been partying for a week in Nashville, not going to class or whatever. I don't think you can not go to class at Vandy. Never mind. He's been getting
Johnny
B's
Manziel.
on his tests.
If he's really Johnny Manziel, you just.
But
never
this
know.
is Vanderbilt now. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He's been getting B's on this test. That's how you are a rock star at Vanderbilt. So yeah, I think that like maybe like, even though that is a possibility, the game that he plays is kind of calling his own number to a degree, which is a little bit recession proof. Whereas I feel like Kentucky can be a little bit more up and down. As crazy as that sounds, I'm kind of there with you. Now that being said, my logical brain would be picking Kentucky, but for vibes, I'm with you. I think we're on the exact same page. Logically, it should be Kentucky.
Yes.
Vibes wise, I want to see how high this Vandy thing can go. I want to see them ranked. I want to say Pavia. I want to see Pavia at the White House, not for winning a natty, but for some other reason where they're just like, we love you, Pavia. Come to the White House. Like, I want to see him be a national hero. So I'm just going to pick Vandy because it'll be fun.
If Diego Pavia runs the table, could he show up on Currency next year? I won't rule it out. I won't. We're riding this train until it goes off the tracks, all right? Yeah. We just have to at this point. Fun fact about this game. My brother and sister-in-law were there when Vandy beat Kentucky in the snow in Lexington a couple years ago.
Yes.
They're going to be there. They're going to be there again on Saturday. They're not like season ticket holders or anything like that.
Yeah.
If Vandy wins on Saturday, they will have witnessed half of Vandy's SEC wins in the 2020s decade simply by driving 7 minutes from their house to Kroger Field.
Yes, you hit on the logical reason to pick Vandy is like, we've already seen this coach upset this coach in a much less logical way. That was after the Florida game, right?
The Kentucky game.
Yeah.
No, Florida was after that.
Okay.
Florida was after, yes, because Kentucky had just crept into the top, or they were in the top 25, I believe, at the time, which made the Vandy win that much more surprising. And the fact that it snowed that day in Lexington.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Florida happened the following game.
There we go. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm just rooting for Vandy because it's a wild story. I know Kentucky has been great to us. I'm not dumping on them. And like I said, I've been a massive Mark Stoops respecter. I super respect their win against Ole Miss, but I just want to see Diego Pavia be itself this year.
Love it.